Hi, my name is Dr. Scott Young with Hearing Solutions Centers, and today we have Carla Peak here, and she is a technical support person with a communications company, but we're talking about her ears. Coming right up. Okay, so Carla, when we think about your circumstance, I'm going to ask you a few little questions here. Just, tell me what you think with that too. So tell me about your hearing history.
Sure. I never really thought I had an issue with my hearing. For a really long time, it wasn't a problem, and I didn't notice any difference. But
Did you have it all of your life, or was it just...
No, I mean, my hearing seemed to be fine until about 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So I had perfectly normal hearing. I didn't notice any issues. There wasn't anything abnormal. But somehow, within the past couple of years, and I work with technical support, I talk to a lot of people on the phone, so
Right.
I'm on a headset all day long. And about 2 years ago, I started to notice this really insistent ringing noise. Like it's a really high-pitched, pure tone, so it's all the time, it never stops, and it began to drive me completely crazy.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
We actually have this thing called a tinnitus hearing handicap kind of thing, and a scale of 100 down to a 0. And they say like normal to borderline normal mild is up to about a 10. But when you think about these questions, they ask of yes, sometimes, or never. Mm-hmm. If you have any level of ringing, other than you're at someone shoots a gun off beside you and you have a ringing noise that happens and it goes away. If you have it going on for a little bit, it'll drive you buggy.
It is, and it was one of those things where it was affecting my mental health really severely.
Uh-huh.
It caused me to have severe anxiety, and especially when it came to being at work, which I love my job a lot.
I'm glad you say that, because you really want to be able to be in that situation.
I love to talk to people and I love to interact with people, and it was causing me to be not able to understand them, or it really impacted my life in such a major way.
So was the tinnitus like sitting on top of your hearing kind of thing a lot of time?
It does. It really does.
Did it change the sound of their voices when you would hear them on the phone?
It's more, and I've talked to one of your colleagues about it when I came here. It's more like my mind can't differentiate. So it's more of an interpretation. It's almost like they started to speak a different language.
Right.
Honestly.
You're going, what?
Yeah, I'm like, what did you say that word? I would have to ask them to repeat themselves all the time.
Right.
Because my mind, my brain just could not differentiate between their words and my tinnitus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ugly.
Mm-hmm. Very.
And so then it affected your, your personal life, your emotional life, your business life.
Yeah.
And then it starts to mess up your sleep. Did it ever mess with that too?
It is sleep disruptive. I would have major headaches. It would just be so much that it would catch my attention, and the sound would just get louder and louder. And anytime I was stressed or anxious, it would just be more prevalent.
Okay.
And so, I would have trouble sleeping, so I would have to sleep with something on, like a television, music, 3 fans.
Oh, really? Yeah. Even when it's freezing, you're like, oh.
Yeah, I can't. I cannot sit in silence, and I've not experienced silence for so long. It's just the strangest thing to have to relate to other people.
Right.
It is really complex, but yeah, absolutely. It disrupts sleep. It disrupts just living in general, and
Wow.
I don't think people really realize it.
Yeah, tinnitus is a powerful problem. Excuse me. You don't just have hearing problems, and we have tons of people who just have hearing problems.
Yeah.
But on top of it, if you have this extra sound along with the hearing loss, it makes it just significantly worse and starts, distorting things like you're talking about.
Yeah, it deeply impacts things.
And then, what medically did you do before you ever came into us to mitigate some of that junk?
Yeah, well, at first I thought it might be something like maybe with my bone structure, like maybe a nerve or something. So I sought chiropractic help. I was looking at alternative therapies and like any vitamins I could take to help with it. Any other solutions medically, I would go to doctors and I'd be like, I can't handle this. Can you tell me what I can do to help? And they would put me on medications, like medications that have dependencies, and
Sure.
it caused me to have issues because I
And
was
they would just stack up on each
yeah,
other.
and the medications would help, but because I would have to take them so often during the day and they were dependency inducing, it was really complicated.
Right. And then did it make it worse for you at times?
Yeah, definitely, and it definitely increased my anxiety too. So like I would take the medication, it would make it better, but then when my medication would stop, I would need another dose, and it would be like, I need this, and when I would run out of medication, it was like frantic. I don't want to hear this. Like I can't. I would be at home, in the floor, just crying because I can't handle it, And I haven't lived with tinnitus all my life. It's only been really recent, like the past couple of years. So it's very, it's just very disturbing.
Right. And did you feel like that, sometimes, and I'm not trying to beat up physicians on this issue,
please.
because it's not, there's a lot of misunderstanding, and that's one of the things I kind of knew when we were going to talk to you that we were going to go this direction, but I'm just going to go a little bit deeper in there. I think one of the things that you were struggling with, I'm hearing, is that the physicians were giving you their situation, but not really expanding the role and say, we really need to add other people around here to help you.
Yeah, there was never a suggestion that I should seek an audiologist. There was never a suggestion, hey, maybe you need someone else. It was just my general practitioner, and they don't have enough knowledge. And so it would be me doing the research and being like, okay, what do I need to do to make my life better?
Right.
And that takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of effort when you don't know where to go.
And I think one of the things, for our listeners when they're watching this too, is that everyone's different. I mean, I could have a person that has, a neurological issue, that is the tinnitus when that comes on, it could be cancer related, and once they address their cancer, or address they could have a tumor. You address the tumor, the tinnitus goes away. Mm-hmm. You have people who are they have so many medications that they're taking, it exacerbates the tinnitus. And so then you got to deal with that. I mean, I've had patients walk in and they have bags of medications that they take and all this stuff, and then it gets worse, and then no one's really doing what we call a physician desk reference. It's a PDR booklet, and they don't put them all together and go, wait a second, those two are messing with each other.
Yeah, they have conflicts.
Right.
And it's hard to find someone when it's hearing that wants to involve your whole health.
Right.
So you have to make your own team sometimes.
Correct. And I think that's the difficulty, and that's what we want to share with people about is that there are lots of people in every age range.
I'm 40.
You're 40, and yet we have people who are in their 80s and feel like, it's just, that's just what you deal with. And unfortunately, that's a very common thing. I've been doing this for 30 years, and we used to never, when we have tinnitus, we'd go,
what do we do?
What do we do? Yeah, we're struggling, and yet there are therapies and there are ways of handling that issue. And I'll give you an example. One of my most difficult patients I ever had, this guy comes in, and he had these rumpled pants up. And that told me there was something psychologically going on, because he's dressed really professionally, but his life was just going to heck in a handbasket.
Yeah.
And very, very similar in that way. And it had a closed head injury. He was taking pizza boxes out, helping this ministry thing, and the dumpster hit him in the head.
Oh.
And so he is trying to address this, and I was like, hold on. Yes, I want to be in this place, but we need to get, some of your neck issues dealt with. And once we deal with that, once we fix those things with the right referral, he was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Right. It's not always about one doctor.
Right.
You have to have the ability to outsource and really bring in, because it's not just your ears.
Right.
It's your whole body that can affect your hearing, and I don't think people understand that. I really do think that is unless you have a hearing problem, you don't get that. It can be a neck problem, it can be a back problem, it can be other veins, anywhere in your body. It's,
I've had 3 ACL surgeries.
Oh my.
It messes up my hips, my ankles. It messes up my shin splints. I get hip issues. So really, there is a whole body, a systematic approach that we got to look at, and that's one of the situations that you've kind of been through that. So it was several years before you ever sought out the audiologist with that too.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what were your initial experiences those first days once you had made that really hard decision, about getting some help with your hearing? Those first, several days, what happened to you when you had them in your ears?
Oh, after I saw you and had hearing aids?
Yeah.
Oh no, it was immediate.
Okay.
It was like I walked out of the office with them in, and with my hearing, so everybody's different.
Sure.
But for me, my tinnitus is worse when I don't have my hearing aids in, because it dampens everything else, and so the tinnitus is louder. So just the act of putting in the hearing aids was almost like immediate relief.
Right.
It was amazing, and I was able to walk out of the office with my anxiety was so much lower. I was so much more comfortable in my own space, and I'm used to being comfortable in my own skin. Okay,
yeah. That's what we love about you.
Yeah. So, and they have a masker that I was using pretty frequently, but I find that just having the hearing aids in after being here is I can't go without them during the day.
Right.
I must have them because if not, it just rushes in. It's almost like a tide. Like you push the tide back and you take them out, and the tide rolls in.
Right.
Whew.
And it can, and that's a great way of thinking of it. When you think of the tide, when you're standing out in the ocean, and you get deeper and deeper, and then your anxiety can go up because you feel like it's going to overwhelm you.
It's going to be overwhelming.
Right? And that's exactly what tinnitus feels like. It's that sound wave, which is the actual
It is
definition.
hits you.
Yeah.
And it encompasses everything. And so I can take them out now, but for the first week when I had them, when I would have to take them out, either just to clean them or just for the night, I would have to be like, I need to not have a panic attack.
Yep.
I need to calm down. It's okay. I can put them back in. I just have to change the batteries. It's okay, Carla. Just change the batteries.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things too. So now, when you decided you were also going to hook it up to your phone, tell me a little bit about what you did with your smartphone.
Yeah. So these are the ones that the ones that were provided here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of whether I should mention the brand, but
The Resound.
Resound.
That's fine. Yeah,
Okay,
Resound is
good.
fine. Yeah.
Resound has their own app, and it allows you to, and you just download it, and Dr.
It's a free app,
Exactly.
so it's not a big
It's
deal.
really easy to grab.
Right.
And we worked together in the office, which I'm pretty tech savvy. I probably could have set it up at home, but we had to get it all set up here.
Yeah.
But after that, I use it all the time. I use it when I'm at work. I have a headset on, and I still work with a headset with my hearing aids. I use it to change the volume, to change the tone. So the speech clarity really helps. It has a speech clarity option where you just tap it, and it brings up the tenor so you can hear it more. They're just really amazing, and I'm like, why don't people who have normal hearing have these? Because they're kind of awesome.
Well, and what's funny is that some of the reps with the manufacturers actually will wear hearing aids because even though they don't have hearing loss, but because they can hear their cell phone ringing and they're talking through their cell phone right through here. And so, I always say this, listen, my accountant is Scottish. And the dude, I don't care what we have with our phones. I got new phone systems here right now, and I don't hear him. I'm like, dude, what? And then he gets off his speakerphone. I'm like, huh? Now I have a mild amount of hearing loss, a little more than you do with that too. But holy cow, I can't understand him. But now he always calls my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it makes
call me on my phone. Then I get my prescription through there with that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it is, it also allows me to check the volume. So with hearing aids, it's kind of, it's interesting because sometimes they just get blocked by something really small.
Yeah.
And you'll notice, you'll be like, why is my sound a little bit more damp than it should be? Dampened.
Right.
And so I'll go in and even if I'm in the middle of a call, I can tap on my phone and I can tap to separate them, and I can figure out which one has the problem, and when my call's over, I can pull it out, fix it, and put it back in, and just come
Yeah,
keep rolling with my day.
you're more technical than most of our patients will see it, and that's cool. I mean, because we want a person. One of the things that we have, and yours have 57 different adjustments on there, but that's great. But guess what happens? You could walk from here to an Outback restaurant, to Longhorn Steakhouse. I mean, I'm just talking from a steak standpoint, let's say. But those are two wacky different,
totally different
volumes,
scenarios.
right?
Yeah.
And you go from here, you're definitely going to adjust it from maybe Longhorn to an Outback kind of place, right?
Right. Absolutely. Okay. You can adjust the speech clarity, and the type of phone that I have has a feature where, and it's not all phones, but this particular phone, it has what's called Live Listen.
Right.
And so I can turn that on, and I can put my phone across the table,
right.
Closer to whoever I want to speak with. And then when they speak, the phone microphone also picks up and feeds it back into my hearing aids, and I'm still hearing them from across the table. So I've got two sources that are coming at me, and it does really help if you're in a really busy environment with tinnitus, especially.
Yes, and so I mean, again, just so you know, I mean, there are not getting into this too much, but smartphones. We're talking about you need to have at least some of the newer Android phones, or you better have a slightly newer iPhone. We always kind of say, frankly, iPhone 7 and above will work on that. You need to have, I have some people have an older, LG system, and that's not going to hook up. But now most of these phones are going to have that ability if you have at least the better ones.
More recent
a few
model.
years old, and
I would say 3 to 4 years old at the most.
Right.
I'm very technically savvy, and I keep up with everything that's technical that's happening now. And more of the more well-known phones are going to have more features and accessibility features.
Correct.
I'm a huge accessibility advocate, and there are just so many things that are changing in our landscape right now that are very impactful. So yeah, a newer phone, 2-3 years old at the most, I would say, are going to have those features.
And I always say too is look at your, look at your base system updates. So for instance, on the Android, you need to be at a 10. On the iPhone kind of thing, you have to be at least, if there's a big variance there, then you're going to have troubles there. So I always say if your phone, when you look at your system update, if you don't pull those both up, either one, it doesn't matter which one you're talking about. If you don't have the latest software,
always keep your software.
The app won't work.
Yeah, exactly. The app itself has to have updated software because, of course, the developer updates the software,
right? And
then it needs to be on a most recent version of software. So I know a lot of people are they're a little bit hesitant to keep their devices up to date. Sure. I know I've had bad experiences with updates myself on different devices, but it is important when you have hearing aids to make sure that you're working with the latest software, because they are little computers that you wear on your ears. Right,
but see, and here's the cool thing too, is that Resound, just like the other the big 5 manufacturers, Oticon, Starkey, Resound, Phonak, and Signia through Widex with this. But those main manufacturers, and Resound's one of the better ones that we really have a lot of success with.
Yeah.
It's something that I use, something that you use, the same basic kind of thing that we do. But what's fascinating that most people don't realize is that the hearing aids have an update.
Yeah, and
then the phone has their own update for the app, and then the phone base, for instance, the drivers of the software, the phone has its own set of the operating system. So it's just like any computer. I mean, so you've got to have updates. You can't. I mean, if you're talking about a regular laptop, and then you have an older, like a Windows 7, and you're trying to run, your newest Office software, you're in trouble. Same thing with Apple. Those are the kind of things you always look at, just making sure that each one of them have to be updated with that too.
And that sounds intimidating, but it's really not.
Right.
Really, what we're saying is they usually do it by themselves.
Right.
You just have to make sure that they're set up to do that. and the operating system will update, and then after it updates, the app will update, and then if Resound has an update for your hearing aids, they'll push them out. So everything is automated. You just need to be wary, and well, not wary, but be aware of what versions you have.
And yet, what's so cool about this too, I've been doing this for 30 years. And I used to use a screwdriver to control things.
Oh my God.
And so I still have one of them around here. I think it's a Siemens screwdriver. And I still have it just as wow, I used to use that.
Right?
And now we have to be cell phone specialists.
Yep.
I mean, we've had patients who've walked in. I had this one dude he was having disconnection problems.
Oh.
And we couldn't figure out what it was. And then he put it in his pocket at church. And his breast was burning up. And I'm like, okay, it's your battery.
Yeah.
At that point, his battery was messing up, which is going to affect his Bluetooth.
Absolutely.
But here's one of the cool things with Hearing Solution Centers. We spend time knowing what the heck these guys do. So one of the things that's really cool about the manufacturers is they will send us an email and say, hey, listen, don't update this yet. We just know it came out. So it doesn't matter whether it's Android or Apple. We know that this is coming out. We're trying to match up our software to what the base software is in there, and that's something that we know, and then we're watching for with that too. And so it's not, we're not trying to stump the trail for any one area on there too, but yet we have to know some of those areas that happens. And my staff here has different phones. All of us have different phones, so that helps us know what really works.
Aware. Yeah.
Right? So
absolutely.
And I think that's the cool key. So I know we're talking about this, but that's what we can help you with. I mean, we'll plug the phone in and go, oh no, that's an old phone. And it's not because I'm trying to get you to get a new phone. I don't care if you have a new phone or you don't. Tech people do.
Technology is just there.
It's there.
It's phenomenal, and
right.
It's there. And if you can use it to make your life better, do it.
Right, because one of the things that we have also found too, and you're experiencing that, is that level of if you have the adjustment ability. When you walk into those places, we have automatic adjustments that do some of the areas, but some people...
Maybe not perfect.
But it's not perfect for that person because that place is too wacky.
You can, and definitely on the app, I have two separate settings. One is, I have a few favorites, but one is without a masker, one is, and if you don't want to know what a masker is, it plays white noise for you constantly so that it covers your tinnitus, and it is lovely.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
But you can adjust the volume on both hearing aids with the app. You can adjust them individually.
Right.
So if I walk into a busy restaurant, which I know is a little complicated right now, but it's got such a louder volume, I can turn up my hearing aids and I can accommodate for that.
Right.
Before, without them, it was I would have to lean in or I would have to sit closer to the person.
I've done it too that way.
Well, and even then with tinnitus, it's hard to decipher those words.
Right.
And it's hard to pick them out from all of this background noise. So it is really helpful.
Yeah, and I think that's helpful too. So, what when you think about answering the phone, give me an idea of what you do when you answer the phone with your hearing aids now. So when you answer the phone,
I just turn my phone over and hit the button.
Yeah. So does that help you? I mean, think about the difference before when you were doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm an old schooler. I mean, when we talk about phones, we did this. Now the kids, by the way, I didn't realize this. Kids say this, because they've never picked up those old phones yet. It's whoa, okay. But when you would pick up the phone and you're trying to listen in, how is it better by listening in both ears? What's some of the differences you see?
Well, so I have one of my ears is more pronounced than the other as far as my hearing loss,
right?
And as far as I can tell, and so I used to have to pick up the phone, hold it close, and I have to cover one ear, and I have to be in a really quiet environment to hear, even with my phone on full volume. I'm talking full volume. Now it's more a matter of I can pick up the phone. I just It's sitting right next to me. My mom calls. I tap the call button. It comes over my hearing aids, which is really funny for a lot of people that live with me because they don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
It's
Do you want to hear the
Bluetooth.
Scott? Here's the Scott mechanism. So I'm stealing her phone for a second. And I go, and I'm talking on the phone. I have learned this little upside down thing because your microphone's on the
It's right
bottom.
there, yes.
Right? And so every phone's the same way. The microphone's on the bottom. And my staff will do this. And I'm on the phone with my Scottish accountant, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and they're talking on the phone. I'm like,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, because it sounds like you're talking to aliens.
Yep, it
Right?
does. Or you're talking to yourself. That's really
Right.
like you've lost your mind. You're talking to yourself. It's worse than a Bluetooth headset.
It is because Bluetooth, at least you can see the little thing
Yeah, and it
hooking out
blinks the
there,
light.
and yeah, I mean, I think it's there's cute episodes on TV like one of my old favorite shows is Scrubs.
I love
And
Scrubs,
Scrubs
yeah.
is great, seriously. And there's this one Kim where she's always talking on the phone, and then she they don't know she's talking to someone, and she pulls her hair back, and you can see the Bluetooth, right? Remember
Yeah.
that one? And I think that is one of the areas. It's a little thing that we have to do with, but what I love about that too is that I can actually answer the phone and wait on hold.
Yeah.
Being on hold is like just sitting there. I can go back and do my thing, get on my tablet,
And
or
then
whatever
you
I want
just
to do.
immediately can like bounce back to the
Into-
conversation.
Right.
And the hearing aids themselves, I don't have to be super close to my phone. I know the microphone picks up too, but the mics and the hearing aids pick up.
Right.
So it's like I don't have to be super close to my phone. And I used to have earbuds that would do that.
Right.
But these are so much better. I mean, hopefully they're better.
Sure.
That's what
Well,
they're
they
made
are,
for.
I mean, they're made to do that. But what's like we're saying too is there was just a recent update. We're in July of 2020, and there was just a recent update. And what's funny is that on some hearing aids they have rechargeable kind of features.
Yeah.
And on mine, I had not pushed my charger down, and it sent an app update, a notification going, your phone's dead. I should have said, your phone's dead, you idiot, because I wasn't thinking hard. And I didn't push my thing in. But that is a cool app update, for notifications.
Yes.
Like that kind of stuff too.
It's really
And it
nice.
could be, and it will say the same thing on yours that are battery based with that too.
Yes.
So, another thing I want to share with you, I just want to show, do you mind showing your hearing aid with that
Oh,
too?
sure.
So, we're going to show both of our hearing aids here, so just take out one. Mine's red and hers is blue. Now you go, well, yes, her hair's blue, but you know what? Can you really see it in the ear? Were you really
No.
looking at it?
No, you can't see it at all.
You can't see
it.
it.
It's completely invisible, and it's fairly comfortable. I know
Yeah.
it seems a little bit odd.
It's different.
If you've never worn hearing aids before, it does look a little funny because it has a little wire and it has a little thing, and it just sits in your ear, but it's comfortable. Like,
After a little bit, you don't
you
really
don't
think
even
about
notice it.
Yeah.
It's really hard to notice, and it's nice to have the customization because it's blue, and blue's my favorite color. I don't know if you
There you go. You got that one.
But you can't see it. Nobody notices.
Right.
Nobody says anything, and I know that people are self-conscious. It doesn't bother me,
Yeah.
but a lot of people are, and you don't have to be. They're
And you're
practically
an X
visible.
generation, so I mean, I think what we're going to see as more and more as the X and the Y generation kind of, we see them having hearing loss. I'm a baby boomer with that too.
Yeah.
But I think what's going to happen, we're going to see more and more of this. Now, hey, if you're upset about that, we can actually match it to the hair color, no problem at all.
There's so many different colors. Like when they set them in front of me, it's like this whole palette of which one do you like? And I'm like, that one's blue.
Yeah. Only way, and I have a husband and wife, blue and red. And
They can tell the
like
difference.
that. And
Yeah.
and he's got vision problems. So he's got to see it as the blue, but he couldn't really see the red.
Yeah.
So those are ways that handle it. But one of the things that I like about what Carla and I do is that I have red, she has blue. I love it. All my cars are red. Okay, every car I've ever had has been red, so I'm the red wacky.
Yeah.
And like a lot of my stuff has been a red kind of color on cases and things like that too. So yeah, that's that red
It's more
thing.
personal.
Yeah, it's a
It
personal
makes it
way.
feel personal. It's like, this is mine. This is my thing. It's just for me.
Right.
And it really is. Like, these are customized and tailored to you. And I know that sounds kind of superfluous, but it makes a difference in, of course, adoption.
Right.
And also just feeling like it's something that you're doing for yourself.
Right, and I think the word adoption actually has a powerful point, right? We think about kids first, right?
Yeah.
You can adopt a child, but what you're doing is you're personal. This is part of your family, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be too weird about hearing aids and part of your family, but it's part of your
part of
life.
you.
Correct.
So an adoption rate is more like whether or not you're going to wear this thing.
Right.
You know, I got this thing, say you get a retainer for your teeth, for instance.
Right.
That's something for you too. It's not necessarily comfortable, but you want to wear it to make your life better.
Correct.
So it's an adoption of that behavior of putting it in every morning, you know, taking it out every night, making sure it's cleaned. So it's very important, and it's a crucial thing when you start wearing hearing aids to continue to do it so that you adopt that practice. So yeah, absolutely, it's a powerful word.
And I think that's the thing that we want to do, and I think the powerful thing that we were just doing an adjustment before we walked in here.
Yeah.
Because we noticed a little thing twittering with a particular
sound in the background.
you know, and during a music thing.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we'll do is, you know, she's like, this one's just doing one little twitter with this song. With this one song,
Yes.
and I'm like, great, let's pull the song up on YouTube. And we're gonna play it, and she was like, "Oh, okay, that's."
I sit there and just sing a few bars along with it, because my thing is that I like to sing. We were
Right.
talking about that, and when I sing, one of my hearing aids was picking up my voice and just echoing it back, and I was getting a lot of feedback.
Right.
So just by coming in and doing a small adjustment, it took like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
It was real fast.
And and that's the thing that happens, and people get, you know, I mean, like, why do you have to have adjustments? Because guess what? If you saw, and frankly, okay, I've been an audiologist for 30 years, and Dr. Kathleen fitted Carla. Dr. Kathleen, she actually turned my back when she does adjustments. Dr. Kathleen does, because I can't look at the screen because I'll know too much about it. And so I won't watch, and I'm just like, or just
you got to tailor it.
yeah, because I let her, you know, do that, and I need to listen to it.
Yeah.
Instead of looking
To
at
focus.
the screen. So I frankly have never looked at my hearing aids on the computer. And people go, "What? You're an audiologist?" Well, guess what?
You need an audiologist. An audiologist needs an audiologist
I need someone
too.
else to like tell me, you know, you're being wacky on this issue.
Yeah.
With it too. And I think, and that's that customized point, because this is about how your ears perceive.
I mean, can you imagine? Like, could not even imagine before I got hearing aids, like customizing my own hearing.
Yes.
That sounds so strange to me, like even today, but it's almost space age, because you can, if you notice something that's really minute, you can come in and say, hey, there's this weird thing going on, and just put it on the computer and figure it out, and it's
Right.
like done.
And I think the one cool thing, I'll leave it with this one, is that most of the phones have the ability to geotag. So when you know, so let's just go back to the Longhorn Steakhouse. That's kind of a louder place, right? So you walk in there and go, oh my gosh, that's just killing me. You drive into that place, that's just how they like to do it, right? So what you can actually do is geotag the phone. It knows where you are and says, oh wait, that's that setting, so you could kind of pop up the highs or do something
It'll
weird.
remind you, yeah.
And it'll actually move to that setting. So those are extra things that people can do. And again, you might say, I don't want to do any of that. Well,
You don't
do
have
as
to.
much as you want to.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything. Nothing is mandatory.
No.
It's all for your betterment, like your well-being.
Right.
It's really, and it's funny because hearing is something that is really self-care.
Right.
It's not something that your spouse or your mom or your dad or your
Right.
brother can help you with. It has to be something that you own.
Right.
And so if you don't want to customize your hearing and it's not doing you any good, don't do it.
Yeah.
You know.
And we have patients that, I mean, I had my favorite one, and we'll kind of end this story with this, because we're going on some different paths here with this, but I loved it because Carla kind of has a very unique viewpoint. But I had a husband and wife, both of them had hearing aids. They were both hooked up to the TV. Now, what was fascinating, she cared about the TV. He didn't care about the TV.
Yeah.
they would get mad at each other because she would watch the Nature Channel,
Oh, no,
and he
he would
wants
come in
just
over
to
his-
watch. He just wants to read his sports.
Coming over his hearing.
And so he did, but she would turn it up really loud before they got hearing aids. And I was like, okay, so what I'm gonna do is make it, they don't have iPhones because they were in their 90s.
Yeah.
And so she'd pop her button, flip it over to the TV, and it's in silence. And he was like,
Yeah.
and I could read my paper and read about my Green Bay Packers and nothing else, right? You know, kind of
Yeah.
thing. But that's that customizing thing that we really
That's
want to
fantastic.
do for each person.
Yeah.
So I just thank you so much for Carla for coming
Yeah.
in. And if you like this stuff, I mean, I'm sure we're going to bring up questions. So as you're playing around there, type in those questions. Happy to answer those kinds of things and kind of give you that help. But we have technology people like Carla and other people that are not as technical and all ranges inside of there.
good
We're
for
happy to
everyone.
help you
Yeah,
with
it's
that
good
too.
for everybody.
Right. So subscribe and check out our channel a little bit more. Thanks
Hit
so
the
much.
button.
Yeah, push it.